Okay, so we're back with our next level of therapeutic intervention for Tiffany to kind of rebuild her hinge, to make it pain-free so she can go back and deadlift without having to worry about it, right? So what we're using now is we are using the Neubie electric stimulation device. So this is a very fancy electric stim device that uses direct current, and it has a whole bunch of different settings. I won't bore you with that right now, but what we are going to work with for her is trying to put a bunch of stimulation into the low back and glutes and have her go through some of these movement rehearsals. And the idea is that it should help decrease her pain and increase her neuromuscular re-education. It's a fancy way of saying get her to move without pain and be able to trust that movement, if that makes sense. So Tiff, why don't you start, go ahead and get into like a kind of a wider stance for me. And I just want you to give me like 5 hip circles in each direction. This is going to be a little brief for the sake of this video, but the idea is that I just want her to move around through her hips, through her low back a little bit, and then move into these patterns. Again, and then next I'll have you go ahead and get down on your hands and knees. We're going to do a couple of cat and cows if you can. And just moving through whatever pain-free range is, like don't push into anything that's uncomfortable. So moving through the spine in an unloaded position like this, very low shear forces. We know that this is a safe exercise. We're just trying to, again, remind the body that it can get into these positions pain-free, and hopefully that helps remap what she can and can't do as far as her body knows that, hey, this position might trigger some pain. Let's see if we can convince it that it doesn't always have to. Okay, next, can you take this? Why don't you go ahead and put it along your spine? We'll go 3 points of contact. And I'm just going to have you give me like 5 nice and slow hinges, as deep down as you feel like you can go, effectively approaching towards that bottom position. And do you have any symptoms with that? No. And so it's unloaded, so she doesn't feel anything. She's doing well. And again, we're remapping, trying to get her body to convince her body that all this is okay and it'll be fine. Okay, so again, this is very brief. Now take that PVC and use it like a barbell for me. And I want you to go through that, down to that same position and kind of see how things feel and come on back up. Any symptoms? No. And again, it's unloaded. It's just a PVC, and so it's not going to add anything extra to her. So again, that was pretty brief. But the concept here, again, just flood the system with a lot of stim and sensory information with the movement that we're intending for her to relearn and reload. Next, what we're going to do, since that is really just more of a sensory stimulation, we're going to turn this down, and then we're going to turn it up into a training mode. So Tiff, I'm going to turn this down, and then I'm going to turn it back up. I got a pad from each channel, one on her low back and one on her glutes, because we want those two things to connect to each other, and we have one of those on each side. So I'm going to turn this up, and tell me when you start to feel something. Okay, and I want it to be like a 7 out of 10. I want it to feel pretty strong, but it shouldn't make it feel like it's cramping or contracting too strong.
That's good.
Right there? Okay, great. So we're going to do the same thing with the PVC as our fake barbell. And I just want you to do the same thing. I really want you to think about screwing those feet in the ground and going through that whole position. And how's that feel at the bottom?
Feels great.
Great. Okay, give me 5 of those. And again, her movement looks really good. It's pain-free, unloaded. And again, we're using that Neubie for more of a training mode now. We're trying to turn those muscles on specifically. All right, moment of truth. Let's try it with the barbell. And how does it feel in that bottom position?
It feels good.
Feels good?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a good time also, even though it's really light load. Can you move slowly? Can you pause in that position? I also want you to think about your breath cycling, so make sure you got a belly full of air where you need that stability, and then squeeze and stand on up. Cycle that breath out. Give me 5 more of these. Good. Is each one pain-free?
Pain-free.
Pain-free. So we know that we can change her pain by giving her some stimulation to that area. We know that by turning on those muscles a little stronger, we can decrease the pain in that area. We can use something like the Neubie stim device to re-educate her muscle firing pattern and her just ability to perform that pain-free and reinforce it. And what we're hoping for is if we can do all this stuff when it comes to reloading, that not only is she successful with the barbell, but that we can get her back on track. Again, her motion looked really good, but it didn't feel good. Now it looks good and it feels good. And then this is how we're going to be able to take her and help her bridge the gap back to everything she wants to do.